So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at this little smoker and see how bad a shape it's in. Like I said, this thing has been sitting under a tree in a backyard for about a year, and it's got some rust on it. So before we clean it up, let's go ahead and just see how bad it is. As you can see here, we got some rust going on the shelf. That leg looks like it's got some rust growing on it, pretty heavy. A little bit here. The cooking chamber looks in pretty good shape. Our little cooking grate looks in pretty good shape. Once again, this is a reverse flow, and you can tell that the chimney or the stack is on the same side as the firebox. So you have a reverse flow plate that's in there. It looks in good shape. There's our opening there. Our exhaust stack here, and there's my labels. I labeled them all. Now, all the ones I did after I think 30, I used a chrome decal, and that really looked sharp. But this is one of the early ones. And another thing you can tell is I put the bolt for my vent cap on the inside, and somewhere along this time I started doing them all on the outside to give me more opening on the inside. That held up very well. This is a made out of a pipe, same diameter. Got the firebox here made out of the same diameter pipe. Got some rust going on in there. We're going to have to wash that out. And then that is our firebox door with its built-in vent, and that's a little frozen up, so we're going to have to clean that up and get it taken care of. But overall, the rest of it's in pretty good shape. You know, it's not a very big smoker. Big enough you can throw a full slab of ribs and some pieces of chicken, or maybe 2 or 3 whole chickens and some sausage or something like that. And like I said, this weekend we're going to get this cleaned up and cooking, and I hope I got a 10.5 pound pork butt we're going to put in there. So let me go ahead and get the water hose out, rinse out what I can, and clean this up a little bit, and check back with you in just a minute after I get some of the crud off of it, okay? Look at all that rust scale in there. But when I hit on it, see how solid that still sounds? You know, that thing's got a lot of life left to it, but look at the chunks of rust that we're actually getting off of that thing, right? Big old thick chunks. Same thing here. Everything still sounds good and solid. You know, we wire wheel this, clean it up. This thing is going to be like brand new. The only thing we're going to have to fix is this door here, and that's because a lot of ash was left in there. Okay, so, but it's still, we can still use it the way it is because it still closes up and the vent still works. So that's not an issue. It's not going to keep us from cooking on this thing this weekend. All right, so now that I got all the heavy rust and stuff knocked off with the hammer and the brush, I'm going to go ahead and hit the whole thing with some heavy duty barbecue grill cleaner and just spray the whole thing down, and I'm going to let it sit overnight. That way any old grease and stuff like that, it just dissolves it and it'll clean it up the best it can. And then tomorrow I'm going to get the power tools out and clean this thing up with the wire wheel on my angle grinder and my die grinder. All right, so we'll let it soak overnight and go from there. All right, now that we let it soak all night and try to loosen up some of that grease and stuff in there, we'll go ahead and hit it out with a water hose. Flush this thing out really good and make sure we chase out all those cockroaches we saw in there, right? Alright, so the area of the frame here, we're going to need to get rid of that rust. And what I'm going to use is my little angle grinder with this cup brush I got on here. Does a pretty good job. Check it out. And while I got my angle grinder with my wire wheel on it, I need to clean up my cooking grate. A little better. Alright, we're going to give everything one more spray just to get rid of any grease and everything before we do a burnout. Now after you wash it, you are going to make sure you want to totally bring the smoker up to temperature and get all the water out of the pores of the metal before you paint it. So many people make the mistake of not doing that, and when they fire up the smoker and bring it up to temperature, they start getting all these blisters everywhere, and that is the water that's coming out. I actually used to have a little propane burner, and I would set it inside the cooker and bring it up to about 200 degrees and let it sit there for a couple hours. And then I would paint it while it was still at about 120. Light coats. One light coat. If you put a heavy coat on, you know, it's gonna trap the solvents in it. You have to put the paint on in light coats as well. So warm it up, cook it between coats, and put the coats on light, and you will have a paint job that lasts 20 years, like this one did. That's not bad for 20 years, especially since it spent the last year in the mud underneath a tree. We didn't get this thing out until the tree was removed and the smoker could be pulled out of the mud. So, it's had a harsh life, but that paint has held up pretty good. Now it's time to do something with these handles. Thought maybe I could save them, but they are pretty rotted. I don't think I used hardwood. I think I used some kind of mop handle or something, but yeah, they're pretty much gone. So these screws are stainless though, so I should be able to reuse those. No problem. Let's get this one out. Okay, so I got this piece of hardwood. It is probably poplar or something like that at Home Depot. And it was only $6 and something, so not bad. Let's just go ahead and line them up here, measure them out, go ahead and clamp it. Okay. That'll do the trick. And we'll just get that hole started. Now before we put them on, let's go ahead and get some of my knife oil. Get them looking a little better. Let that soak in. And that'll help preserve that a little bit. Okay. And because it's non-toxic, we're not going to get anything coming off of it that's going to affect our cooking. Alright, and that is our handles. Alright, but we're not going to bolt them on right now because the next step is we're going to go ahead and put some charcoal in this baby and let it burn off a little bit. We're going to burn off all the moisture that's in the metal, any junk, any like that. We'll hit it one more time while it's warm with the wire brush. And I forgot I got a handle over here, don't I? Alright, but we'll put all these back on after it's heated up, okay? So these are going to come off, and that'll give us where we can paint both sides, okay? But off camera, I need to go ahead and make this one because I forgot to make that one. Alright, be back to y'all in a little bit. Alright, so as far as the door is concerned, I straightened it out. It turned out fairly decent. You know, I'd have to fabricate a whole new door, and that's just not something I really feel like doing right now. The vents, as you can see, are working really good, and they're sealing up real good. And also, as you notice, that my firebox grate is right here in the middle, so I got air going below it and through the top as well. And you know, it's a pretty good vent. We're not going to be loading the fire through this door anyway. That door is only for clean out. That's why it's designed like that with these wing nuts. You know, we're going to be top loading it like this. Let's get that grate in there like it's supposed to. As you can see, I didn't wire wheel in there. I'm just going to let the burnout do its thing there. Okay, but I think it's time we put some coal in this and get it going. Alright, so now it's time to build a fire in there and get this sucker warmed up, burn off all the junk, all the moisture and everything before we touch up the paint. I've always went with Kingsford. You know, some people, oh, you need lump charcoal. You know, we're only using the charcoal to get the pit started. And Kingsford is pretty much your best buy. It does a good job. It's quick lighting. It burns good. So, you know, if all we're doing is using it to light the pit, you know, why not? And that is my Kershaw live wire that I've been carrying for 2 weeks with my new Lynch Northwest pocket clip on there. And I do love this knife. This is my favorite EDC now. Alright, anyway, usually just build me a little mound of charcoal in there. Go crazy at the beginning. Just make a nice little teepee. Doesn't take much. It's a small pit and it's not that cold out. Okay. Maybe a couple more pieces. Alright. Okay, so that'll be enough. And I know what y'all are saying. You got people that say, what the F? You can't put lighter fluid in your smoker. Yeah, you can. You know, by the time we put any food on this thing, all that lighter fluid is going to be burned off, okay? We're just using a little bit. We're going to let that soak in there for a minute. All right. Don't take that long. You don't have to let it sit that long. It's going to soak in. And right about now will be a good time to light her up. And this is probably the first time this little smoker has been lit in quite a few years. I don't think it was ever used that much. Alright, I know the flame looks cool, but I'm going to go ahead and close that door. That way we start getting some heat going through the cooker. Alright, now once this thing gets heated up, we're going to wipe it down and touch up the paint. And this is a really good time to talk about what kind of paint to use. You're going to have people tell you, oh, you got to buy this $20, $30 a can high heat header paint, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you look at that number right there, that is about as high as any of those header paints get to. Rust-Oleum's been making paint for a long time. This paint needs no primer. It is got rust deterrents in the paint, and it does a great job. 20-year-old smoker. This is the same original paint that was on it when I painted it, and gave this as a Christmas present many years ago. Look at that. Huh? Paint's still there. Paint's still there. You saw the rust and everything where it wore off. Oh, my fire went out. Look at that. See what I did? I forgot to open my vent. Let's do that again. That's kind of stupid, John. Now, this is where you got to be careful because you already lit it once. And I've learned from many, many mistakes, this is going to flash up a lot faster than the first one. So let's take our, see? All right. A lot bigger flame. Let's go ahead and close that down and let the heat come through. Now, if you look over here, that temperature gauge is stuck at 350. And I know it's not 350. There's no way it's 350, but we got a new gauge for it. We'll put it in a minute. Oh, okay. It went up to 400, so it's not stuck. It's just way off in its reading. So I'm wondering how hot this thing's actually going to get. All right, but it is warm. Okay, so that is a reverse flow smoker. You got your fire over there. It goes underneath that reverse flow plate in there. Comes back around and out your exhaust. Okay. All right, so we got it cooking good. All right, we'll let it burn out. Probably got about a good 2 hours worth of fuel in it. And I think that'll be plenty long to burn it out real good. Yeah. All right, friends, it's time to get some meat on the smoker, and I got this big ol', what do we got here? 10.23 pound pork butt. All right, I remember used to get this stuff for like 99 cents this time of year, but everything has gone up, hasn't it? All right, we gotta get this thing on the smoker. It's gonna take a long time to cook. Now I'm totally out of my barbecue seasoning, but I got some of this Blues Hog from Ace Hardware. It's not bad. I like it a little sweeter. I don't have a lot of brown sugar on me, but I do have some maple sugar. So I'm gonna put some maple sugar on there and just top it off with this Blues Hog. Maybe a couple other things, but that's it. It's going to be a basic. I don't put a binder on or anything like that. I let the sugar from the brown sugar or the maple sugar be my binder. Okay, so let me get both hands on this and I'll be back to you in a minute. We'll get it on the cooker. And that's it right there, my friends. As you can see, I don't go too hog wild on the seasoning. That's really all it needs. And it should be good. The pork will flavor itself along with the smoke and everything else. So we'll see how it goes on there. Big old 10-pound pork butt. All right, and there she is. 10.5-pound pork butt. Just barely fits in there, huh? You see I got a couple pieces of sausage for me to snack on later, but this sucker is going to need to cook all night. Now we got that on there. Here's what I'm going to smoke it with. Got this at Ace Hardware, Smoky Woods. It is post oak chunks. They were buy one get one at Ace. So I got 2 bags there. Hopefully that'll make us through the night. If not, I will finish it up with some Kingsford or put it on my pellet grill. All right, let's go ahead and start putting in some of these chunks. Okay, these are nice. Yeah, I particularly like live oak myself, but I know the Texas folks like post oak. I never tried it. So let's just go ahead and start putting some of them in there. Also got a pair of tongs, and that'll help put the chunks exactly where I want them. Okay. So those should, well, they're already starting to burn. All right, notice that we were sitting at right around 200. We put those on. I want to try to run it around 225. I think that's a good temperature. So let's see how hot this post oak burns. So I really like the way the fire's going tonight. You saw me load those 3 chunks of post oak about 45 minutes ago, and it's staying, I don't know if you can see that or not, right around 300. I want to bring it down a little bit. I just loaded one more in there because I'm going to go in and take a shower and chill out as the mosquitoes come out, because it is that time of Florida when the sun goes down and the mosquitoes come out. But they'll chill out here in a little bit, and I'll come back out and check on it. But I'd say I got at least a good hour on that fire before I got to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the lid and go on in and get my shower and let this thing cook away. All right, time to come out and check and see how our cooker's doing. Looks like we're still at, a little over 225. That's good. Let's see how our fire's doing. Oh man, that is perfect. All right, so I'm going to add one. So it looks like I can add about 1 an hour, and that should keep me going. All right, perfect. All right, let's also check out the meat. And that's looking pretty good, huh? Sausage looks good. I'm going to pull that sausage off. But yeah, that looks good, huh? All right, friends, here's our pork butt. I pulled this off the smoker about 6 o'clock this morning, and I tasted a little piece, but this has been sitting in the refrigerator for the last, I don't know, 5 hours, so it's pretty much completely cooled down. Oh, it sure is falling apart tender, isn't it? All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and break this down and process it. And I got some bowls here. I'm going to store some in. I'll probably put some in the freezer, take some over to a friend of mine, and well, look at that, huh? Is that some beautiful pork or what? So that is just all meat, and that's cold. Look how juicy that is, huh? It's got a beautiful bark to it. Let's go ahead and set, well, we'll go ahead and get the bone out of this. Okay, look at that, huh? Oh, I'm sorry, but I got to. That post oak did a great job. Now what I want to do, let's just go ahead and get some of this out of the way here. Alright. So we don't have so much we're working with. Alright. Alright, so I got about a third there. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and stick in the refrigerator for now. That'll be my lunch and my dinner. And maybe make a couple sandwiches over the next couple days. Alright, so what that does is it allows me to break out my 2 barbecue choppers. Alright, so in Florida, growing up, going to barbecue joints, I was always told if you want to go to a good barbecue joint, when you order a pork sandwich, you need to hear the guy back there going, okay, because that's he's chopping it up. And I always liked chopped pork better than I liked pulled. Alright, each their own, but me, you see that one got away from me there? That is how we eat pork. And then when they served it to you, I actually kind of put it into a ball, wad it up. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get it all over my hands. But they put it in a wall and they pack it up and they put it on the sandwich. Pour the sauce over it. And I liked it better because it just lets the sauce get in there better. I think you get a better mixture of all the bark and the meat. You know, it kind of mixes it all better. Mixes it all together better. Okay. But I know a lot. Yeah, that's some pretty good bark there. Look at that. Alright, but that's all going to be mixed in there. Okay. But that's all going to be mixed in there to make a beautiful medley of barbecue pork. So this is not called pulled pork. It's just what we call barbecue pork, right? Okay. I'll be honest with you. If you got the right choppers, it's a lot easier than doing... See, that one's got a nice bark on that too, huh? And another thing that allows you to do, if you got a restaurant or you're trying to serve people, is, you know, you got your pork butt. It's in the steamer table or whatever, trying to keep it warm, wrapped in foil. You don't want it to dry out. So if somebody comes up and orders something, a sandwich or whatever, instead of having to break off a chunk, grab your forks and sit there and pull it, you can just scrape off a chunk, put it on the thing and chop, 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 chop. And I don't mind now because I'm done. You just stick that on a bun. Alright. I need to warm this up because this is right out of the refrigerator. Cold. But you just get such a nice medley of the bark and all the different things and the seasoning. It's so good. Alright, so next up, let me show you what I use to top off my pork. And I think it is totally delicious. There's my Kershaw live wire. Finishing up my 2-week EDC carry of this knife. And I'll be proud to show off this knife in the follow-up video very soon. Okay, but this is an outstanding knife. I am loving it. Okay, put that away. Alright, so got some butter in a cup. If I can open this apple juice. Okay, I usually just buy this right here, Publix. You don't need a whole lot. Not that much. Sip for myself. Put that in the refrigerator. Take your favorite store brand barbecue sauce. I really like Sweet Baby Ray's original. And it does a great job. And just make you a nice big cupful like that. Okay. Stir that up. Put it in the microwave. While that's heating up, we'll get us a nice roll. Okay. These are just Pepperidge Farm buns. They look pretty nice when I was up there. We're going to need just a little bit of salt. Let's see what I got. Now you don't want to get this too hot. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of that salt on there. Okay. So bottom bun right there. Okay, look at that. Beautiful, huh? And we're just gonna slowly get some sauce on there. Maybe put a little divot in the middle. Look at that. A little bit on the plate. And we'll save the rest of that for later. Now, friends, that is a beautiful pork sandwich. Yeah. Damn, that's good. Alright, thanks for watching my little video. I tried to throw some knives in there at the end. I know it's a knife channel, but I wanted to show you my little smoker and my pulled pork. Alright, y'all be good.